Hey everyone, you're listening to the AwayCast. Today we're going to be talking to one of our good buddies, Mike, who actually had a chance to sit down with the Oculus Rift. Here's a little bit of that interview.
After I got out, the effect could only be described as a disassociation. I felt this sensation that the world that I had just existed in for that moment, I was adjusting to it, and it felt real, and it felt solid, and I was getting used to the proportions and the distances of the floor and of my height and how quickly I could move. And when I left, it felt like I knew I was in, there's no perception, just like I said before, but afterwards there was this sense of my perception is bullshit, that the things I was seeing in front of me now could be just as fabricated as anything else. People who spend time in virtual reality worlds, when they come out, they have this, it's not quite an ego death, but it's this impact and this realization of how fragile reality is in the first place.
More on that later in the show. Hey everybody, welcome to AwayCast 010. What's up, Greg?
Oh, stop that.
Stop
that.
Stop
What's
chewing.
up? I hate you so much.
Josh, what's up, man?
What's up, everyone?
How you doing?
How you doing this week? Good?
I am doing good.
Oh my God, Greg.
What?
You're like just you kind of thinking about chewing. I can hear you chewing.
Yeah, no, you can see he's like, he has the devil on his shoulder, literally just being like, lean into the mic, lean into the mic.
The chicken is so good.
Greg wanted to eat throughout the whole podcast tonight.
I thought it would put some flavor. Some flavor.
Is that a shitty pun?
Some flavor into the podcast.
It would. It'd be disgusting.
I just think that we've never done that. And we need to break some walls down, break some new ground here. And I think eating the entire time and maybe occasionally discussing the food we're having could be interesting for our viewers.
I think it's only fair if we let them, like, if we have a picnic podcast where everyone brings food and everyone eats at one time,
like
including our listeners.
Oh, if they're eating while they're listening.
Like, all right,
exactly.
It'll be like the John Tesh radio show. Like, everyone settle down, bring your food.
I see a lot of problems with this because if we're eating, we're making noise when we eat. It's loud when you hear a man chew over a microphone. It is, and if they're chewing too, think about like hearing when you chew. You really can't. It's loud, but because it's going on in your head. It's all happening within your mouth.
Right.
So you have all this inner noise. Okay, let me get through this.
Inner noise, okay. I'm taking notes here, hang on.
You have all this inner noise.
It's
okay?
loud when a man chews. That's the name of the chapter I'm writing. It's loud when a man chews.
Listen.
Step 1.
You have this inner noise happening.
Inner noise.
And what's happening is the sound that's trying to come in from the outside.
Outer sound.
The things that you're trying to hear outside of the inside of your mouth, it's getting blocked and negated.
Block and negate.
And you go deaf. So really, you're deaf. If you're eating, you're deaf.
I don't think any scientists, 0 of 10 scientists agree with that.
It's a fact.
Who are these scientists? Where do we get them?
You show me a medical journal that shows me that, and I will believe you.
If
anything, then it even makes it better, because if they're chewing so they can't hear us chewing, then it negates the chewing. Chewing negates chewing.
Yeah, I could see that. That probably works.
You ever like eat snacks while you're watching a show?
Also, we could say, like, you know, if people write and they're like, "How dare you eat on the podcast?" We'd be like, "You were eating while you were listening to it.
Yeah,
you're to blame. How dare you eat while you're listening to the podcast?" But they're going to say that
you're supposed to. You guys are supposed to be making quality broadcast programming, and we should not have to endure this horrible sound the entire time we're trying to focus on this interesting topics. And
chewing. That's what we're talking about now.
Well. Yeah. Yes, and it is an interesting topic, and I think we should be allowed to chew. It's a free country. God bless America.
Josh, what did you
invoke America rights? I don't know.
Josh,
it got iffy.
Josh,
yeah.
What'd you do this weekend?
We moved in a third roommate. You don't want me to tell the story, but I'm going to tell the story now. You didn't want to tell the story.
No,
you're going to chew over the story?
Oh, my God.
Stop it. All right, I won't tell the story.
All right, go ahead.
Josh,
we had a third roommate move in this weekend. We did a roommate swap. One roommate move out, one roommate move in. So our apartment looked a little bit in construction on Sunday, but now it's come around. So full circle.
Is it in construction or is it under?
A little bit of both. In and under construction.
That was a dick grammar police move.
That's what I do. I got a badge.
Something could be in construction.
Dick Grandma Police.
It can be does that mean it's like inside of like a construction site?
Exactly. It would be within construction, so it was both.
Yeah.
Under.
Stuck on that.
Well,
Nerd.
I think when you say under construction, I think under is a time. It's telling you that there's a certain amount of time in which.
Yeah, so it was both. I was talking about time and space.
Boom.
Ooh.
Yeah, incepted.
Shit.
So that's it. Somebody moved in, and then you clean the house. Everything look better now.
I got an awesome little nook carved out where I have my PS3, Xbox, and PC all hooked up to my TV now, so I can wizard between all three of them. It's the 21st century. Get with it. Yeah,
that's cool.
That's it. That's all I got.
That's cool. It probably feels good to get everything organized.
I think that's cool.
Yeah. See, you start off hating the story. You came around full circle.
No, I mean I don't like the story.
Whatever. It's like There Will Be Blood, where the guy like starts off bad and he kills someone at the end. I don't know how it's like There Will Be Blood.
You two should get a room.
That was a bad analogy.
That's my favorite movie.
Your favorite movie?
Yeah.
You just relate too much to the main character?
I wish.
Oh, that's creepy.
Especially
you're giving me eyes while you're saying it.
Daniel Plainview is one of my favorite characters ever.
He is a dark and twisted character.
Greg, have you drowned any seagulls lately? It is summertime.
Quiet.
Oh, they're out and about.
They are. Greg,
service.
Greg, what did you do this weekend?
This weekend?
The end of the week.
Fuck, this weekend, I mean, I don't think I did anything really. I kind of just...
You played video games, right?
Yes, I played games.
We'll get there, though.
Yeah, I mean, I played Thomas Was Alone. I played Kentucky Route Zero, and I also sort of took part in a real game, a game of life, in a game called Greg Was Alone, and the way this game works is Greg moves to Queens because he gets a job with his best friend John at ProPoint Graphics, the design company. And it's great. And the funnest part about this job is it's like a fucking sitcom where I get to work literally across from my best friend who I grew up with, who went to college together. And then suddenly, last week, out of nowhere, John quits and he gets a new job somewhere else. And then Greg was alone.
Oh.
Okay, ready for the retort?
Oh, do.
Ready for the retort? Josh, you've been singing a lot lately.
It's always that song.
I have been. I'm just singing.
Oh, it is. Greg and I have talked about quitting this job for a long time. I got offered a better position with more money, and
money over friends. Everybody.
Also,
you see where it's at. You see where the
commute is cut into eighths.
Typical commute over friends.
It takes me an eighth of the amount of time to get to work. Also, I can go to the gym again, which I have been going to the gym for 2 days now.
Typical gym over friends shit.
Gym, commute, and money over friends.
I'm also pretty much getting 2 hours of my day back from the commute.
So basically,
time over friends.
They say the bonds of friendship are eternal, but it looks like the bonds of friendship actually are outweighed by money, commute, and gym.
How fucked up would it have been if, like, Greg, I'm quitting the job, I also can't talk to you anymore?
Yeah.
That wouldn't work. So yeah, I left that job on Friday. And Greg, please stop. Please stop.
I can't hear him from here.
Oh
so.
my God.
I
You're going to
hope no
hear him
one
on the
else can.
podcast.
It's
no,
beautiful.
I don't want to.
It's HD.
I'm just going to fast forward over all of this. We're going to fix this all in post. Don't worry.
So I did that. I did something on... Oh yeah, Friday we went out for drinks after work. Everyone wanted to give their goodbye.
With your new work friends?
No, it was with the old work people.
Yeah, Friday was my last day.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And we went out and got drinks, and it was exciting. And I think I stood on a wall for like 2 hours and looked at my feet the entire time.
Yeah.
And then I left.
I got most of my drinks. I got most of my.
I left and strangled some seagulls.
I got most of my drinks paid for, so I was cool. And
that is. Best way to
Saturday, I went to an old friend's engagement. My buddy of mine got engaged, one of my childhood friends, and I got invited to that party.
Wait,
so I went
what?
there.
The weekend that John went to some wedding-related activity?
Can you believe that? Huh?
Every single podcast.
Yeah.
No, it was cool though. It was felt good because it was a backyard party and there was barbecuing and it was very big. They had a band, a live
Is
band.
that a thing? Are you supposed to have people over when you get engaged? Is that like a
an engagement party?
inference?
Yeah, you get the engagement ring. You get engaged. The man goes down on one knee when two people love each other.
Yeah.
You know, the man vows to keep the woman in holy matrimony.
Is that a little presumptuous though to have a party before you've actually done the engagement?
Oh, yeah, but the thing is, the people who come to the party, they bring money and cards.
No, it's not. It's not. The engagement is done, but you mean the period of engagement?
Josh is saying, like, what if we don't make it to marriage and we're having a fucking party? You know?
No. I'm saying that, like, so if you're like, hey guys, we're having an engagement party, come on over.
That's
but
not
you
how
have
it
yet
works.
to actually
I know what you're saying.
No,
Josh,
because then you're ruining the surprise to the future.
Do you pop the question and then invite people over for an
course,
engagement
Josh.
party?
Dude,
Of
I take you for a
course.
smarter guy than that. All right, honey, let's have an engagement party,
Look,
but
all right,
but
I am
we'll
as far
see.
Don't get your hopes up.
as humanly possible.
So
You have the engagement party and then you still don't ask her to marry.
I was like, do you pop the question at the engagement party? I didn't know.
why are we having this party, honey? Summer.
Summer.
I don't know, but yeah, it was good. It felt like summer. Had a few Coronas.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
that was cool. And then
Whatever. I'm calling my shots. I'm having the engagement party, inviting everyone before the actual
I
engagement.
like that. That's risky.
I'll do it an hour beforehand. I'm living on the edge.
are you gonna call it an engagement party and send out engagement party invitations?
Yeah, but I mean, I won't let her know that.
You know, it'd be good to have an engagement party, but not have a girlfriend or anything.
Like just any type of engagement you're
yeah.
you're getting into.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're engaging in activity for an hour.
It's a rules of engagement movie marathon party.
Couples are showing up. They're like, well, this was misleading.
They'll have cards with like $50 in it. Perfect. Get in. We're watching Rules of Engagement.
Like shoving it back in their purse. Like, don't mention anything about it.
And then Sunday, I went to Atlantic City for a day trip with my family. My cousin, my grandpa belongs to a social club, the Moose, the Loyal Moose, whatever the hell. And yeah, a couple buses with some older people. We went down to Atlantic City and did some blackjacking.
Oh yeah, how'd you do?
I did all right. I came up like $50, which is fine, I guess.
Good for you.
Kate won $50 in slots.
Good for her.
We ate at Margaritaville.
Margaritaville. Oh, that's like that nice, tiny little authentic place, right?
Yeah, it's not commercial.
Yeah, Margaritaville.
That guy,
sounds
Jimmy
nice.
Buffet, was there.
Jimmy Buffet, yeah.
Jimmy Buffet. They were actually playing some Uncle Cracker.
Really,
when I was
Uncle
there.
Cracker.
Yeah, Uncle Cracker and Kenny Chesney.
God rest his soul, Uncle Cracker. Rest in peace.
What? Because he's dead.
Yes.
Guys.
Let's start that here now. Uncle Cracker is dead. What Uncle Cracker song were they playing? Was it Follow Me or was it that other one that he has?
It was Ba with the
Yeah.
Ba.
It
Ba
was
with the Ba.
It was
Like
him,
the same thing.
him and Kenny Chesney have a little
That
duo.
picture song with Sheryl Crow.
Yeah. It was called Kenny Chesney and Uncle Cracker, When the Sun Goes Down.
Nice.
There you go. That's a good.
Is that really
plug,
what
right?
it was called?
Yeah, When the Sun Goes Down. When the sun goes down. It getting hotter when the sun goes down.
It's getting hotter.
Trucks
when the
and
sun-
beer. I don't know.
And my dog in a handkerchief.
And a water tower and horseshoes.
Wow, this is
State football.
I guess in trouble. State football.
Sorry for anybody who lives in the South who like country music. to
No,
listen
I'm
to
not. You won't. That apology does not stand for me.
No,
you won't
know,
get that.
I think those kind of like insults or generalizations to those type of people. It's usually like, I don't care. I'm proud. I'm proud
I
of
think
that.
I'm going to be honest. I think most of those insults just. It's like, a duck with water. It just rolls right off their back.
They're
They don't
practically
know.
compliments, I think.
Yeah.
Just the fact that you're talking about them and they're just like, ooh.
Oh, actually,
Well, shucks, he talking about me.
Kate showed me up. There was this in the game area on the boardwalk, like the BioShock Infinite-esque game thing. I'm just waiting for Josh to say that was my plug for Bioshock.
The boardwalk.
Yeah, but it's like it's weird. It's a long boardwalk, and then they have one section for games.
There's a pier with a beach.
Yeah, like a little pier thing. And there was this crossbow game, and I thought it was going to be cool and win Kate something, but she actually won me. She hit the bullseye twice. And
wow.
Yeah, and she won like this stuffed tiger head mounted on the wall right over here.
Yeah.
It's pretty scary looking, actually.
It was a real tiger.
It was real. Yeah, she had to slit its throat and behead it.
Well, yes.
So that was my weekend.
Like that. She's that redheaded girl from Brave with the bow and arrow shooting for her own hand.
That's exactly.
Don't try to win her.
A crossbow.
Don't try to win her in an archery thing.
It was
I didn't even make that. The first thing I did when I went to make fun of her for doing that was the Hunger Games, and I didn't even think of Brave.
Oh, that's probably more relevant, culturally relevant.
Yeah. No, but Brave worked because she's a redhead. It would work.
Well, Daryl Dixon from The Walking Dead is probably the best one
because he's a redhead.
Well, because it's a crossbow.
I think the figure of a female with a archer type background is more. It is more relevant than
Lara Croft.
Whatever.
Let's face it, bows are so big right now. Those bows are so hot right now.
Bows are in.
Dude from Far Cry. Kate looks like the dude from Far Cry.
Let's talk about games.
Okay, let's talk about games. Josh, since we're backed a little bit, what's up, man? You played some Fuse with Mr. Nathan Ortega. How'd that go?
I did. We played a decent amount of Fuse. I played through the main campaign, played a little bit of Echelon mode. You were very right about Echelon mode. That is hard.
I told you, man. It's hard to get past even like wave 6. I think the farthest I got was 7, maybe. With like a group that wasn't communicating very well. It was just like people yelling.
It was really funny. Me and Nate we were having a conversation about Kickstarter and Massive Chalice, like completely nothing game related, not talking strategy. And our minds are so detached from the game, it was like we were in the zone and we got to wave 8.
Oh, that's awesome. So, for people who don't know, go ahead and describe Fuse. I'm going to give you that task.
Yeah, Fuse is it's supposed to be 4-player co-op shooter. Slightly science fiction. Each character has their own Xenotech weapon, which is like their own special gun from the makers of Ratchet and Clank and Resistance. So it's very much in that same vein with special weaponry, guns that do quirky things and have secondary uses.
Right.
And yeah, you can play single player and then have computers take over the 3 teammates, but kind of no matter what, you will always have your squad together in some form or fashion.
Right, and I told you, I know you went through it the first time, pretty much single player, and it's definitely way more geared towards co-op.
Definitely. I think me and Nate played through, I think we got through the second mission. We got captured and brought to the Raven facility, and that was when, spoilers, you get captured. And honestly, that was when we went our separate ways.
The story is really shallow and boring. It's not.
Yeah, it's super, super weak. But yeah, and like the most frustrating thing that I had is anytime that you're playing single player, if you die, it goes Gears of War style, where you'll be on the ground bleeding out. You have to have someone come over to try and help you up. But that also is flipped. So in Gears of War, and stop me if I'm wrong here, but in Gears of War, if your teammates go down, you don't need to care about them. Like, it doesn't really matter. They'll get themselves back up or they'll just stay down, but they won't actually die at any point in time.
Don't they get back up at the end of like the phase? Like if you kill the guys that you're doing back up?
Right. If you're in that, if you hit a checkpoint, I think, we're talking campaign strictly.
Yeah.
And they'll also go around and help each other up and stuff like that too. But at no point can you get a game over because one of your teammates are dead. But that can happen in Fuse. And the AI is already really terrible. So if one of your guys, like this happens all the time, Dalton is the big steroid guy, and he has a giant shield, and he'll just walk out in front of everyone with that shield because the AI is instructed to kind of protect people. But as soon as that shield goes down, he'll get shot and taken out in the most, ridiculous place. And then you have to go running for him, and you have to hope that you don't die. And it just ends up being a huge mess. The AI is so bad that's super frustrating. You have to restart a ton of times because your teammates die, and that is not good.
Well, the positive aspects of it, you mentioned Dalton with that the shield thing. I thought that was, every weapon is really cool. I liked all the Xenotech weapons a lot. I thought they were really diverse and interesting, and they work together kind of like Bulletstorm. So when you're playing the game, you see combos of weapons happening, and you get different experience based on what combos are fulfilled, which is pretty neat. But they don't really like emblazon that anywhere, so it feels a little loose. But
they do get old though. I mean, how many hours of that game did you play?
I don't know, probably about 8 maybe.
Okay, I probably put in about 12 to 15 hours, and by the end I was like, I basically rolled with only a couple people, but I felt like the weapon that I had was just getting repetitive in the same use over and over again.
Well,
it's like in Ratchet and Clank and Resistance, they change up the weapons that you're using enough that it stays fresh, but in Fuse it very much you have that one weapon, 4 unique weapons that are open to you, and that's basically it.
Right, but make it clear that you can hold 4 weapons at once, but you always are restricted to using that one main Xenotech weapon, which is really
I mean,
cool.
you can have your shotgun, your sniper rifle, your machine gun, but those are all just your general weapons. There's nothing intriguing about those necessarily.
So, what would you guys overall say Fuse? Like, is it a good game? Is it bad? What would you rate Fuse overall?
I'd say it's not really a $60 title.
How long have you been sitting on that? How long have you just how much control did it take not to just play that whenever you felt like it?
The whole time I was sitting there, every time he'd say something like, well, that might be worth putting the horn in, but...
We are now a wacky in the morning zoo radio station. What the fuck? Did you pull up a soundboard? Shitty E-Bombs World soundboard?
This is... The rest of the episode is going to be filled with sound clips.
Oh my god. Greg is just here today to ruin everything.
I don't know about that. We're going to have fun
with
it.
He's done chewing, so now we can, add in the
We're going to have fun with them. I'm not going to...
So what's going to happen later is Greg's going to talk about the stuff he's been playing, and I'm going to get the computer. And I'm going to get the computer, and I'm just going to play shit over him.
I'm not playing it over you. I'm playing it in response to what you're saying.
I'm not done talking about Fuse, Greg. We're not done.
What else is there to say about that game?
You didn't play it.
I watched you play it. You have a gun and you have a partner.
Okay.
And you run through a world and you shoot shit. Okay.
Really good review. People are going to totally stand by you with your video game knowledge.
I think they are. I think they are. I think that is a valid review.
I've seen the Fuse. You get the gun. You shoot the people.
I've seen the Fuse.
You're in a world. You shoot a guy.
It's graphics. It's fine. I've seen it before.
There's the girl with the British accent, the redhead, the black guy, and the steroid guy.
All right, so TLDR, I think that if you have at least one other buddy, 4 ideally, Fuse can actually be pretty fun. Don't get it by yourself. Echelon seems like it'd be a lot of fun if you had a really good group that were talking to each other and having a good time with it. But otherwise, whatever. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, you can't stress that enough. And like tactically, like if you have people who are working together, playing the game together, and like even me and Nate were having, minor strategy, like, hey, get behind me, I got the shield, I'm dead, will you come save me? Stuff like that.
Yeah, like
even just having that awareness is helpful. Or just not having a dumb AI teammate that runs into the line of fire for you.
Right. Yeah, and there's enough mechanics to make it a decent. It doesn't stand out. That's the thing. Like, there's good melee little finisher moves, and there's some stealth to it, which really isn't much.
This is the problem when I play a shooter, especially one like Fuse, is that I get bored at some point. So all I do is I take the girl with the cloak, and no guns. I just go running in and melee everyone. I refuse to fire a shot unless I absolutely have to.
Right.
And that's how you make those games fun.
You also have your Fuse powers, too, which they're pretty, whatever. Health grenade. Shield, I don't know. Whatever. Okay, Greg, you have a sound to play?
No, I don't want to oversaturate the podcast with them.
Okay, you're gonna save them for those moments when we really need it.
Aside from that first minute when you did 3.
All right, Greg.
Yes.
Greg did a nice thing for me, and he gifted me Thomas Was Alone because he thought I should play it, and I played.
Because I knew that if I didn't gift it to you, you weren't gonna go get it.
Dude, I was gonna buy it on PS Vita. But
that would have been a fucking mistake.
I would have been able to play it, but it's fun.
That's how I played it on Vita.
You played it on Vita? Well, you missed out on having a bigger screen experience.
Well, you know what, Josh? You're wrong because Greg's opinion's different.
And my opinion is always correct.
I didn't realize
You know
that.
what?
Thank you.
Oh my god.
I don't want to oversaturate
You know
the podcast.
I didn't like Thomas Was Alone because it's got shapes. It's a thing. You jump
All
in
right,
a world.
let's talk about the game for real.
Go ahead, Greg. It's your time to shine. Can I have the...
No, you can't push any buttons on the computer.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so this weekend I didn't have much to do, so I downloaded. I don't have any games on my Steam besides.
On your Steve?
Oh, did you get the Humble Indie Bumble?
No.
Oh man, I can't even talk.
No one could talk. No, I just bought. Well, it started out as me. I was just gonna buy Thomas Was Alone, and then I said, you know what? I watched a quick look on Kentucky Route Zero. I'm gonna just grab that too. So I bought.
I told you about it.
But you sent me the video, the quick look, which I didn't watch the whole thing of because right when I started watching, I was like, I'm gonna like this. I don't want to ruin it, so I turned it off and I said I'm gonna pick this up. So anyway, Sunday I guess I bought both of them, and I got right into Thomas Was Alone. That was the first thing I was playing, and before I knew it, I played through the whole thing. It's like 100 levels. Some of them are pretty short. Some of them are a little bit more intricate. What
was that?
That was Mike actually just joined into the Google. Hey, Mike.
Hey.
we have a visitor halfway into the podcast. He just popped right in. That's a no, it's fine. It's a wonderful surprise. How are you, Mike?
I'm doing pretty good right now.
So you got headphones on now.
I got headphones. Is it any better right now?
It's
perfect.
It's a little
perfect.
It's better than it was. So, real quick, we're being joined right now from Portland by our buddy Mike, who's going to talk about his experience with the Oculus in a few minutes. But getting back to where I was with Thomas Was Alone, so I grabbed it this weekend on Sunday, and I didn't really know what to expect because I read a couple things, and a couple of my friends told me to grab it, and honestly, I started playing it, and before I knew it, 3.5 hours went by, and I played through the entire game very quickly. And that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It was very immersive, and it was so much like fun. And before I knew, honestly, it's 100 levels. There's 100 levels, and I just couldn't stop playing it. Like I never felt like I was too stuck. Like the difficulty of the game is like, it's like this perfect like amount where it's hard enough that it tests your skills a little bit, but it also kind of like doesn't take away from like this weird story that's happening.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about the game.
Okay, so what it is you play as different shapes, and in order to get through these puzzles, you need to use each shape has a different ability. So you start out as Thomas, the small like rectangle guy who can jump. And then you meet a couple other people along the way. You get a friend named Chris, who's a kind of like this short, square guy who can't really jump and he needs help from other people. You meet this girl Laura, who is kind of like a bouncy shape.
And when Greg says "girl," "boy," it's very. This is all told through really great narration. These shapes are actually just shapes with colors and there's platforms. It's a very very, very simple game, but it's the story is told in such a great way by its narration.
It's bizarre when you start to like kind of develop a relationship with these cubes and squares.
Right. I think that's like the test of this game. Yeah. It's like you can develop such an intricate story by just
And the narration is hilarious. It's the same guy who's Wheatley in I forget his name. He's on the Ricky Gervais show.
Stephen Merchant.
There it is.
There it is.
You are here for a reason.
Yeah.
And he's an absolutely hilarious commentary, but it's also like really thoughtful, and it's very like at times it's very like emotional and beautiful. Like, the way they talk about the characters.
It sets a great pace for the game.
Yeah. It's unimposing in that way. Like, I mean, it very much just kind of presents this very simplistic thing and then allows you to draw your own emotional connections. And, there's so much in games, there's so much forced emotion onto things where they try desperately to make you feel for characters. This does the exact opposite and basically just shows you these characters, gives them some loose personalities, and allows you to just draw your own feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's an interesting thing. I thought that like the writing is really great. The characters, like just like you're saying, they're very they have a lot of personality and emotion to them. Even though they're so simple, they're just shapes, whatever. But I'm only in the first hour, so I haven't continued it. But one thing I noticed that even in a game about shapes and friendship, the gender stereotypes of personalities couldn't be escaped in this one. The first 3 characters were males. They were complex, and then they introduced.
They tried. I thought it was clever that they made like the big like the chubby I can't do anything with myself cube a girl. I thought that was kind of interesting because I feel like that normally would have gone to like a guy.
I think
but
it wasn't just gender stereotypes, though. I think it was stereotypes in general because they're leaving it up to your imagination to build the character within your imagination rather than like, they give you a basic premise like, okay, Thomas is the quick, nimble protagonist in the show.
I feel like Mike's going to Laura right now, though. The slutty rectangle girl. The trampoline that everyone gets to jump on.
I mean, like, yes, there are archetypes of like personalities they're projecting on, and that was very interesting. But like I said, the first female who they introduced, like who's clearly a female, is a love interest, which is just such a trope.
Actually, it was a cube who's a superhero.
That was they introduced her before the. Yeah, you're right. They did.
Oh, did Laura comes in next?
Yeah.
I do like the superhero. I like her. She was funny and complex.
On top of that, there's also, it's not just the shapes and the colors that they use in order to build these personalities, but also their functions. Like, a lot of it is, when they're first meeting each other, a lot of them feel ashamed because they have this weird thing. Like, Laura is really nervous because people will just bounce on her and then leave. Or when you get to the upside down cube who jumps down.
Yeah, he's
with
like
him,
like guy doesn't want to be with around anybody. Yeah.
Exactly, and Chris feels inferior to Thomas because he's small and can't jump very high.
Then you got John though. John, who's the fucking man.
That's right.
Yeah,
he's the tall, athletic type, just like me, except for not tall.
He keeps everyone else around to show off.
Right.
Hey, what'd you guys play on?
I played on Steam.
PC.
You played on Steam.
I played on the Vita.
Okay, on the Vita. Yeah, I liked it on the Vita. That was a pretty good fit. I really like the Vita cross-play stuff. Like, it's really good scene for indie games. Like, I can take it on the go. I can play it at home. Like,
and especially when you talk about the short length of the game, Greg, that actually really behooves the Vita because you're the Vita, you're taking around, you're playing it places, and it can artificially feel longer just because you're playing it 10 minutes here, 5 minutes there.
Well, I could see that definitely working for the handheld especially because it's such short levels all the time. You could stop whenever you want, and you get right back into it, and you can jump around.
Mike, what was the point? What was the point you made with the E3 tech demo before, or the tech demo from PS4?
From the PS4 release, when they had David Cage from Quantum Dream come onto the stage, he was showing off this like 40,000 polygon model of that old man face who's kind of like staring off in the distance as they do this slow pan around him, and he's talking. Look at his eyes, look at his mouth. You can get the sense of his age and his emotion just through that one stare. We couldn't do this before we had this kind of technology, but that's totally untrue. I mean, we know. Games like The Walking Dead using a cell-shaded art style impress so much emotion onto us. And this game, quadrangles, shapes, have so much personality and emotion just through great storytelling and great narration.
Yeah, I think that's always been it for me. Like I've always been more attracted to games that have a really strong story than graphics or any kind of like gimmicky. I mean, that's not really gimmicky graphics. Sometimes it is actually. Sometimes graphics can be gimmicky, but I'm really much more interested in the writing of a story.
You're in a very good time for that.
Yeah,
indie scene is banging.
I mean, like as we approached that like level of fidelity where we were going HD and like it seemed like we're going for more realism. That the wall or the ceiling of like cost became so crazy high that now we're seeing these games that are taking alternate aesthetic choices.
Right.
I think that. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish.
No. Go on. Continue. Yeah.
I was gonna say. I just feel like you look at a game like Journey, where there's not a spoken line of dialogue, and Journey tells a better story than 90% of AAA games out there.
You see, it's kind of. It's what I was saying before when I was cut off a little bit. I think when they leave something to be desired, where you're allowed to actually fill in the blanks of a certain aspect of the game, or they leave it to your imagination to fill it in, I think that's where the fun part begins for us. I think that's
without a doubt.
Absolutely. So in Journey, the dialogue is implied based on the little pings that you can do with the person that you're playing with. What game were we talking about before? Thomas, how it's very visually, it's very basic. This is what you see is what you get, but the emotion is from the narration of it. So it leaves out the aesthetic, but it brings the narration. And constantly in the indie scene, we see these games where they're leaving things out and they're leaving things up to you. And I just think it's strange how that's becoming sort of a winning formula. I don't know, on a lower level.
This is something that game designers have been. It used to be the constraints of technology really imposed those limitations to create more interesting solutions. So this is it's an interesting aesthetic choice to go so simple when this used to be the maximum. Making games on Atari, making games on the NES, you had to simplistically convey an expression or an idea in a 16 by 16 pixel grid, and that we often have these huge connections with that because of its simplicity. Because you're capable, like you're saying, of projecting your own thoughts onto these characters and your own motivations.
I think what's always nice is that the technology is there, so we're allowed to have a flourish of something in these simplistic games, where like in Thomas, when you fall into the water, you get those particle effects. Yeah. Or,
that's always the best in like the really simplistic games, when they do something really smooth and nice and like really like when you play Limbo or something like that. And like it looks so
the
simple
atmospheric
and
effects,
flat, but then you see the things moving in the background, or even just like the way you walk is so nice and smooth. And you're kind of forced to focus on those things because that's all that's there, and you see how much work goes into making those fluid motions because they don't have to worry about all the other shit, and it's kind of a nice thing because it's polished in its own way.
And I'm going to tell you, just when we start talking about Oculus, that's going to be so important for the first generation of Oculus games. That simplicity and smoothness.
Before we go there, I just want to say, because I felt like there was a good segue to talk about Kentucky Route Zero when we're talking about storytelling in games, and also about using your own imagination to sort of fill in the blanks. This game, I grabbed it Sunday. I played the first act Sunday. I played the second act last night or the night before, and for anyone who doesn't know, Kentucky Route Zero is a sort of it's almost like what would you call like a
point-and-click
adventure game, but there's also like these little text adventures inside of it as well, and it's really spooky. The art is really simple, but it's like really beautiful and effective, and the story is like just it's kind of haunting, and it leaves a lot of open ends for you to fill in with your own imagination. And one of my favorite parts about the game is that there's these moments where you're driving your truck around and you'll see something on the side of the road, and it'll be like there's a museum. And when I first saw this, I expected to click on it and go outside and get like this experience where I walk through a museum and click on stuff. But really, they don't give you that at all. What happens is when you click on it, they give you a story. It becomes a text adventure, and you have to choose, you choose how you're going to go about it. And what I love about the game is it's like if you make a choice in the game, if you choose to say something to somebody or answer a question a certain way, there's no going back and asking the other options. So you're kind of like, it makes you think before you say something or before you do something, or when you want to find out information because you might not have that option again.
Right. Like that's akin to The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
That's exactly Walking Dead. Like games that choose those dialogue trees, like Mass Effect. I always felt like, I can say this thing, but I know I need to say this thing. I know I need to say all 6 things before I get all the information I go on, which is such a clumsy and unnatural form of conversation.
Well, definitely. I think that actually is brought through very, very well in Kentucky Route Zero. I only got to play the first act, but one of the best things about that is because the dialogue is so, a lot of people have said it's Lynchian, David Lynchian, just in its bizarre nature. There's not anything that's truly congruent about it. And because it's so, whimsically written well, but definitely, whimsical, there is no right answer. Oftentimes they're like, what's the dog's name? And you just give the dog a name. It doesn't matter. And at least in any way that you can tell. And that's what I really like about it. I think that, oftentimes I just wrote an article where I said that it's really hard to, it's really hard for game writers to get their written word well expressed. It's hard for someone to be an Aaron Sorkin of video games where it's all about the dialogue, but this is probably as close as you can get, where the writing is so descriptive and so just wonderfully constructed that it's almost like you're reading a novel at points, and just how detailed and how well chosen the words are. And that's just super, super ambitious and very interesting about this game.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when I first started playing, because I'm not a big reader, and when I first started playing the game, I was like, oh, I might not like this because it's a lot of reading. But I found myself so instantly pulled into this world that, you know, I couldn't stop. I wanted to read every dialogue option. I wanted to find everything on the side of the road.
Yeah.
I wanted to know what is happening here, because you still, honestly, even at the end of the second act, you're still not really sure what is going on, what Route Zero is, and I think that's what is keeping me going right now, is because it's like this mystery to me. This whole world is this huge mystery, and I just want more information. I want to talk to more people. I need to know what's happening to my character.
So the game is doing its job.
It is, yeah, absolutely.
It's the super subtle touches too. Like, for instance, after introducing Kentucky Route Zero, every character refers to it as the Zero.
Zero, yeah.
And there's a beautiful little thing where in the dialogue tree, the Zero has a little glitch over it. So, like, a couple of the pixels are fading in and out to just give it a more mystical sense.
Yeah. No spoilers.
And it's just things like that. They're just so good.
So wait, you didn't play Act 2 yet?
I haven't played Act 2 yet.
I haven't played anything.
Did you get to the end of Act 1?
Yeah, I finished Act 1.
Did you, when you were going through the...
no spoilers for Mike and I.
I'm not going to spoil anything. When you were going through the mine, did you turn your lantern off at all?
No.
Okay, Don. No more. Don't ask any more questions.
Okay, I want to go back to...
I feel like I have to go back and do that. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Josh, you were saying about like how writers have such a difficult time in gaming creating these really truly great story experiences. And what I think personally the motivation for that is that, one, of course, it's a new medium. It's getting its kinks out. People are learning how to use interactive storytelling in a way that creates compelling plots and conflicts and motivations. But also, I really believe that our business models, our economic models of game pricing is a huge deterrent as to why we haven't had those totally condensed, home short story, full-on great experiences. It's because we've had locked price points in the retail model where games were $50, $60, $70 back in the Super NES and 64. And so the consumer felt as though they needed to have this hour-to-price ratio. And this is something that has been deteriorating in this generation with downloadable titles. But I even remember when Limbo came out, people were going up in arms and saying, it's 2 to 3 hours, that's $15. What? I'm paying $5 an hour? That's bullshit. I can go play Final Fantasy. I get 100 hours out of $60. That's really where it's at. But what happened was we were stringing out these experiences and we were fluffing them and putting all this unnecessary garbage within them. And games like Kentucky Route Zero and these indie titles that can just tell this condensed, strong personal story and sell it for whatever price, because the point is it's the experience that matters, not the time that you spend.
Definitely.
Of course.
And then, once again, it referenced Journey. Journey's 2 hours long. It was one of the best games I played last year, bar none. And I think that's a great comment on how, the industry grows from the ground up. Games like Call of Duty, Final Fantasy, and, Splinter Cell, pick your title, they're not going to change the way we play games anymore. They're just going to take what other games have done and put a good spin on it. Games, like Kentucky Route Zero, like Journey, like Fez, are going to really be the ones that change and challenge what games can do.
You're not gonna play Call of Duty for a couple hours and then stop playing and lay in bed and be like, I can't stop thinking about Call of Duty.
At least not in a healthy way.
It's completely changed. I don't know what's happening right now. I'm having weird dreams about it. The story has impacted me emotionally. I can't really. That just doesn't happen, But Kentucky Route Zero, when I went to sleep last night, I was thinking about the characters, thinking about the world, this world that they're making, these characters they start to introduce. Act 2, Josh, it just changes it's a game changer. You got to get in there. You got to get
super exciting.
There's this one.
So in that same note, like you said, turn off the light in the mine. I also say to everyone, when you get to the farm, just stand there for a little bit and just see what happens.
Oh, also as you're leaving the farm. Make sure you stay for that.
Yeah. That's good too.
Yeah.
And it's the stuff like that. Like, I mean, there's so many quirky, beautifully, like, kind of abstract touches that they do here. And I think that's just kind of one of the wonderful things that these indie titles get to do. I mean, like you were saying, Mike, it's, when you get to the AAA titles, it's all about, pounding in a corporate, mass-produced product. But these indie titles get these chances to experiment and to figure out how to really create the best experience they can. And that's where games like Kentucky Route Zero really just flourish.
And not just experiment. It's that these independent developers, without producers who are thinking of, okay, you're making this game, it's about this idea, it's about this theme, but we need to broaden it for a mass market. We need to make sure that we're getting the most people involved. Instead, the entertainment of the future that we see, even in television and gaming, is about niche groups who are heavily invested in your product. It's not about trying to make something for everyone, because we live in a global culture. With the internet, the entire world can get access to anything digitally. So what you need to do is you need to find groups of people who are connected through ideas, not by regions or by age groups, but by concepts and wholly personal experiences, and create something for them or for you, the games that you want to make for yourself, and the people who want them will come to them.
In that same regard, I just played Dear Esther this last weekend, so I forgot to make this plug while Greg was talking about Thomas Was Alone. Humble Indie Bundle right now, Humble Indie Bundle 8 has Thomas Was Alone, Awesome Knots, and Dear Esther, and I paid $6, and then you also get Capsized, Proteus. There's a bunch of games that you can get for $6. It's amazing.
Well, I think we should move on to something else. But real quick, I just want to say, before we leave the Kentucky Route Zero thing, anyone who hears this and decides to play it, make sure when you play the game, you take your time and you go slow and you look at everything. It's already a sort of slow-paced game, which might frustrate you at times, but just take your time. Don't try to rush through the dialogue, and enjoy for what it is. If you don't have time, go back to stuff later on. It's really worth like sitting down and focusing for a little while. It'll make it so much better, especially when you get up to the second act and play through that as well.
Yeah.
So I think you wanna get into the Oculus Rift.
We have an
Oculus
Oculus correspondent.
So Mike, our friend joining us today from Portland, Oregon, he this past weekend, he got a chance to get his hands on the Oculus Rift. That's why we brought him on the show. We've talked about it a few times in the past, but we all want to try it. Mike got to play with it, so. I guess, Mike, is it living up to all the hype it's getting? Is it amazing?
It is. Well, it's what it is. It's the start of something really great. So I'll tell you how I actually got a hold of it. I went to my independent game developer group that I have in Portland, and I went there, and I was just ready for a regular meeting. But this guy who had never been there before, he showed up. And he had it on him, and he didn't announce to anyone that it was going to be there. And there was only 7 people there, so there was no wait, and there was no limit on the amount of time I could spend in it. And I fucking dove in.
Did he have some games and experience?
I know what came with it. Is just like these 2 programs, right? One is like a Windows Media Player type version, like where you walk around a screen, and something else. But did they actually bring usable software?
Well, this guy who had it, he had downloaded a whole slew of demos. I only tried out 3, but he was downloading everything from online. He was really obviously into the scene of what like developers are making in demos and in prototypes and concepts and stuff. And the 3 that I played were it was a movie theater. And it was just like a simple program. He started me off in that. Actually, let me tell you about the physical product. Just my first impressions of it physically. What I'll say is, 1, it's larger than I thought, and this is because this is the 7-inch screen that they're using and not the intended 5-inch screen that they're hoping to have in the final product. So it was larger, but 2, it was incredibly light. It was so light that it was like a gag or something when I picked it up. I thought it was a fake. It feels like maybe a few credit cards stacked on top of each other.
Wow. That was something I was worried about. I was talking to John. I was like, if this thing's heavy, it's going to suck because your neck's going to hurt after 5 minutes. You're not going to want to keep your head up.
Did it feel fragile though?
Now he said that the build is a little shoddy. He wasn't too impressed with it, but I was totally satisfied with it. It was plastic. It was light, and because of that, I felt as though a drop wouldn't really hurt this thing. It's not like it has this huge force when it impacts the ground. It would just kind of bounce around and be good. So there wasn't this huge anxiety or fear of I'm touching this holy grail or I'm going to destroy something here. So I'm sorry, I got cut off by something. So I put it on, and the first thing you notice that everyone's been talking about is the screen door effect, the very low pixel resolution. It's using a 720p screen right now. Split between your two eyes and doubled and filling up your entire vision. So the effect is that it's like if you go and you stood really close to your television set and you were trying to actually see the individual pixels. You see them; they're definitely there. The effect is kind of similar. You feel like you're playing pretty much an N64 game, and while it may be a beautiful world, that's kind of the the impression you get because there's no anti-aliasing. There's lots of jaggies, but it's really not such a big deal. The first thing I tried in there was the movie theater, and this was a movie theater that just some modder made. He programmed it so that you can play any AVIs in this actual physical movie theater. And what I have to say is that was awesome. It was incredible. It was this huge screen in front of me, and because the whole movie theater was dark, the pixelation wasn't really noticed. And this guy told me he had watched all 3 Star Wars over the past couple of days, just laying in this thing, just spending all of his time in it, because you have your own personal movie theater. It's there in front of you.
Is it disorienting at all?
Okay, so I played that. He started me off with that because there's no moving around. Right. You move your head and that's fine. Right now, the Oculus only has the orientational tracking, meaning it can tell your tilts like a phone or something, but it can't tell your position. It doesn't know where you are in 3D space. So if I'm to peek my head in at something, like I was looking through a window, yeah, and that I will say is definitely disorienting. That fucked me up a little bit. The second thing I did was the roller coaster, and that was totally messed up. That was very uncomfortable, but the effect was that I didn't feel like I was on a roller coaster, but when we went down that cliff, I felt light. I felt kind of weightless in my chair, and I was holding on to the sides, and there was no oh, I'm really in a roller coaster, I can't believe it,
Yeah.
But for sure, there was a very strange physical, psychological break going on. But
just by messing with the receptacles in your eyes, you can create that weightlessness. That's really cool. I dig that.
But did you get to play anything where it was interactive at all, or were you just?
Yeah, I'm breezing past the first 2 because really, the Tuscan Villa it's what really brought it home. It's what really made me feel like this is the product that I've been wanting. The guy there, he had the Razer Hydra, which you guys probably know is this motion controller handset that uses a magnometer or something, like this magnetic device to track your hands in full 3D space. And I got into the game, calibrated, used my hands, and it was incredible. I was going around the house, moving with the joysticks, but there was basketballs and baseballs around in there, and I was picking them up and I was throwing them between one hand and the other, and it felt cool. as natural as anything else.
Holy shit!
One thing I was concerned about, I thought to myself, because I've been researching the Rift and VR, and I was like, you know what? We're probably going to need Kinect support. You're going to need full body support. You're going to need to be able to do some kind of augmented reality. I'll tell you, you absolutely do not. Just having my hands in front of me, even just these fake modeled hands that are floating, these segmented limbs in 3D space, it was enough. It was absolutely enough. I was holding them up to my eyes. I was pushing them together. I was playing patty cake in the air. it was.
I think it's enough until you see what the possibilities are further on down the road when you can see.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
especially with what's it called, the Virtue,
the Virtuix Omni.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Omni treadmill.
Treadmill. Yep.
Yeah.
So I just have a quick question for you. Is in terms of like making this a real product, where if I was to buy one of these and take it home and play it, and hypothetically, let's say that they release this was a system I could buy, and there were like 4 games. Do you think that there would be an issue? Because one of the things, like when anyone plays a video game, is that you play it, and even if you're playing something for consecutive hours, you're going to play it and you're going to get up and go to the bathroom, or you play it and you have to answer a phone call, or you play it and you have to stop and have a talk with someone. Is it easy to pop in and out of this thing if like you had to? Like if I had this on, would I be able to be like, oh, hang on one second, I gotta get the pizza from downstairs, or oh, hang on one second, I'm gonna have a talk about what we're doing tonight.
You can just have virtual pizza.
The impression I get is that it's gonna work. It's gonna be fine. Now this is my first time trying it, and he was really telling me to go easy. Don't go in for more than 2 or 3 minutes at first, just because you really need to.
The term "go in," like you're gonna go in, man. Go in there and hack the system. We'll be in about 15 minutes, man.
Only going if you go in longer than 2 minutes, I don't know what's gonna happen.
I know, man.
You won't come back.
We're gonna have to go in and get him. He's been in there for 3 minutes. We can't get him out.
He's
Let's
not
go.
coming out.
They bring out like 3 more rips. Everyone's wearing, and they're going in to get
go in and get him. Shrink down.
What is that movie?
The Matrix.
No.
The Matrix.
No, the one where they go to sleep and the.
Oh, Inception.
Matrix.
Yeah.
The Matrix, where they go to sleep.
I'll tell you something. Now, people have been talking about getting sick, getting disoriented, feeling nauseous, getting headaches or something. And I'll tell you, while I didn't have any of that really, I was totally fine. Like I didn't really feel sick or anything. I'll tell you something a lot scarier did happen. After I got out, I had done an extended demo in Tuscany. When I was in there for about 15, maybe 20 minutes, and he was encouraging me to get out, and I was like, no, I'm fine, I'm okay. And eventually I got out, and there was a very strange and unsettling feeling that came from it.
And I feel like that's almost positive. It's awkward, and it may feel a little, I don't know, it's shaking you up a bit or whatever, but I think it's important because I think it inadvertently gives you perspective.
Yeah,
right or wrong.
Absolutely. And it also is going to be really good at giving you new experiences, because when you play a new experience as a new video game you buy and you put it into your PS3, your Xbox, whatever, you're playing it, but it's a separation. There's a distinction between you and the game that's happening and the world. But existing inside of it, you then fulfill new worlds and a new body each time with new perceptions, new distortions to your vision, new like light scales and colors, and it's there's nothing like it right now. I have to say that it is going to be the next thing. It is the next medium of visual technology.
So there's going to be a point actually where we're not playing games, we're just buying locations, or we're buying.
Well, and I was going to even say that, there's some point where there will be a disconnect between playing a game on your console and playing something on the Oculus Rift, where this is actually, it sounds like it's actually a genre in and of itself.
Right.
Right, Mike?
It's a simulation drama. It's a simulation over a game.
And that was my enjoyment of it. That's really has to do a lot with that. I'll say that I didn't like the roller coaster. I didn't like things that were going fast. I really appreciated most just walking around that house.
Well, because you're allowed to be sentient. You're not forced into a perspective or into a situation. Once they give you free reign, obviously, it's kind of like what we were talking about before, where it's up to you now to fill in the blanks about what you would like to do here. And once that happens, I think that's when you get the disassociative thing, because you're making these choices and getting used to the color scales and just your environment and scale in general. And then you come out of it and you say, wait a minute, which one am I more invested in?
I can't wait.
Developers and designers are really going to have to find new ways of creating these experiences, because we can't use the same techniques of having a prompt come on the screen.
I think what they need to do is, once they get Call of Duty on the Oculus Rift, I think what would be great is the lobbies. You know, when you're waiting to get into a game, if the lobbies were like a kitchen area and you had like a fridge, and when you open up, there's just tons of Mountain Dew in the fridge. And you can like pop them open, and you can redeem game codes. And there's like Doritos filled in all of the, Cool Ranch.
Greg's been to the future, and he's just.
I don't care what it is, as long as I can punch other people in the lobby. If I can punch a 14-year-old in the lobby,
and teabag them, right?
But yeah, I have a question for you, Mike. Because of like this, the time that it takes to adjust to it that you were talking about, and like as you spent 15 minutes in the Oculus Rift and took some time to actually kind of disassociate your acclimation to it. Do you feel like in order to roll this thing out in any sort of commercial sense that they will have to there will be like a required in-store demo you would have to go through, something like that, just so it's not a bunch of 14-year-olds taking it home and barfing into a trash can after they use it?
Here's the thing right now. This is, like I said, like the future of entertainment is for those niche groups of people who are ready for something, who are interested in something, and that's what the Oculus Rift is going to be. I really don't think that it's going to get bought up by Sony or Xbox, or there's going to be any mainstream support for a while. I think we're going to be finding really more advanced PC gamers, people who are into the mod scene and development themselves, who want these more immersive and heavy experiences. It's not something that you go, hey mom, go and spend your time in here, You're
going to get that, though. I don't think you can avoid that. I think the second one kid gets one of those things, then his friends go to his house and go, I was in Mario 64 walking around, I need to have this, and then they bitch to their parents. Eventually all these kids are going to have
Has anybody
unless you have 6 little kids who are using it and then puking their guts out
That's
afterwards.
true.
Has anybody here read Ready Player One? No? Nobody?
No.
Well, anyway, I was thinking that maybe they'll have these things in public domain before they have them available for the consumer. When it becomes public mainstream, like maybe you go to a parlor where they have...
Like an arcade?
Oh, that would make a lot of sense.
Where they
if you went somewhere to use one, that would make a lot of sense. Like pay $10, get in for 10 minutes or something like that.
I want to go to Tuscany's. $10, you get like an hour in Tuscany.
Right, so in Ready Player One, if they pretty much have this where you get into a haptic suit and you sit down, and I mean, this is fictional, but we're not too far from it. But there's room specific. I mean, you go into a room, a guy gets you in your suit, you pretty much go from there. So I think at least there you'd have someone who's like virtual reality certified equipment guy who can like get you all set up and be like run you through a test or two, and then you go get your card, go back to this parlor.
It's also, I mean, how whenever something like this comes up, like you're saying, Mike, it's the next big thing. You have someone out there is a suit with a corporate head who wants to monetize it, and that sounds like the perfect way to monetize it.
Yeah, for sure, and that's why I think VR arcades are going to be a thing, because we really don't have the physical space to be immersing ourselves physically in these worlds yet. Mm-hmm. We have the head orientation, and we have things like the Virtuix Omni, but personally, I'll say that any little difference that goes on, any change, when I take the Hydra and I go to grab a ball that should be in front of me, my arm extends out a little farther than it should, it's a little funny. It sets me off a little. And I was looking at the Virtuix Omni, the Omni treadmill with the plastic shoes that you walk in, and it seems like interesting, and it'll be fun, and it'll be a cool way to like easily implement simple controls into games, but you don't turn like that. When you go and you're walking in a line and you decide, actually, I want to go left, there's a sway to your weight. You naturally fall a little bit in one direction and catch yourself through balancing. And the Virtuix Omni, it's, turn myself 90 degrees and start walking straight again. It's not very natural, and it's going to be cumbersome when you're actually in that.
You're going to have to learn how to do. It's going to be one of those things that I think you'll adjust to it, and you'll get better at moving. It'll feel more natural.
I think everyone has to learn how to walk like RoboCop.
It's like you said earlier, Mike. It's just this is one of those other smaller milestones in a larger line of evolution that we're going to get to eventually.
Like I said that designers and developers are going to have to think of new solutions and new ways of perceiving how we interact with our games, and that's going to be as simple as games like Hawken that understand. Okay, instead of making you walk, why not put you in a mech put you inside of a suit, and the controls control the suit, because that's a totally natural conclusion for walking, because you don't push a joystick to walk, but you push a joystick to control a remote control wheelchair, or a mech suit, or any kind of electronic devices that aid us in moving.
Right. So we
like
already
a wheelchair simulator, maybe.
A wheelchair simulator.
But like you said, we already see this happening. Developers are beginning to think this way, because once they see the technology is in its infantile stages, they would like to see it in a further stage, obviously, with their ideas in motion with it. So that's why we're seeing developers take games like Hawken and games like give me a game. Tetris, for example, breaking the barriers for new things.
Yeah. Sure. The thing I mentioned before, I mentioned how you're gonna need smooth experiences. This can't be pushing tech limitations. I mean, you hear a lot of buzzwords like listening to like gamers talk and industry people talk about frame rate and screen tearing, things like that. I think until now have been really preferences, but now they can't be. This isn't a preference. When you're playing, when you're experiencing the Oculus Rift, when you're in a world and you turn and the screen tears, it's the world is splitting apart visually on the horizon. It's the weirdest thing you'll ever see. It's like something's totally wrong. It's not just, oh, the computer's running a little slow. There's a disconnect, like something wrong is happening within your world. What I
imagine that to be is akin to being self-aware in a dream, where you realize something is a dream, and you obviously tell your subconscious, like, this is only a dream, obviously, because something like that did not happen. I think it's the same when you're in the Rift. When something breaks, you say, oh, wait, this isn't real. I'm not here. It's sort of breaking.
It's funny, though, because in a dream, something goes wrong, but your brain has a way of still telling you it's right, You're like, oh, this isn't right, but you realize that your best friend doesn't look anything like your best friend, and you've been perceiving that the whole time as, well, that's okay. But when your eyes physically see your world split in half, there's no connection in your brain that makes it okay. Everything goes off in your head to say it's really hard to describe. It's jarring. It doesn't just feel like, oh, something's a little funny in here. It feels like everything is off.
I want to experience. That almost sounds fun to experience.
I think it depends on the goal of the simulation. Like, if the goal is to provide this incredible, ridiculously hype, like mushroom trip experience, then things would obviously break less. But if it's trying to simulate Tuscany, then you better not be fucking up my Tuscany.
Yeah, don't fuck up my Tuscany.
That's really accurate, actually. The mushroom trip experience is pretty much like what it is, because
how would you know?
Okay, I actually Greg knows I'm actually a very sober guy.
Yeah, he doesn't.
I don't do.
He doesn't do anything really.
Anything, but a couple years back, I made some pop brownies. And
there you go.
I know all about that.
Yeah, well, so
way
baking, nothing to do with drugs.
Every single time I've ever had a pop brownie, it's always been way too much. I end up on a bathroom floor somewhere, spinning in circles, thinking that this is the end of my life.
Edibles are fucked up.
Yeah, I don't know.
This was the only thing that brought me back to that since. My perception was off. My reality was distorted. Like, the visuals of the things that I was seeing shouldn't have been the way they were. And I could adjust. I can adjust, and I would adjust given more time. But I knew that chair wasn't the right size in the room. I went to go walk through a doorway, and I accidentally walked into the doorway, and it threw me off. I practically fell off my chair.
Am I gonna get sick from this thing? I get motion sickness, like on the ocean and stuff. Am I gonna get sick in this thing? I hope not. I want to have fun in this thing.
If a couple Xanax, you're good.
You can't come to the arcade, Greg.
Well, I was thinking they should call it the V arcade.
Oh man, that's
V-Arcade.
It's like Super 90 Nickelodeon show.
Come on, V-Arcade.
Welcome to Nick Arcade.
No, that's a good.
We're gonna run into the VR troopers on the way there.
We are
Listen, you guys are making fun of me now, but soon there's going to be VR arcades everywhere, virtual reality arcades.
You know they're gonna have. That's where little kids have their birthday parties. It's like the shitty mom and pop one.
No,
and then they're gonna.
Can you imagine?
No, but they're gonna have one called like.
I know it's gonna be like VTech or no.
That VTech. That's like shitty electronics.
All right, it's gonna be called like Omnicorp.
Yeah, it's gonna be like a corporation.
Skynet. It'll be Skynet.
Yeah.
Don't say that word. That word makes me nervous.
Yeah, it's gonna be where all the cool kids play it. Skynet.
Some red eye just opened up somewhere. They heard Skynet over there.
All right, we should move on.
Yeah.
It's a long one today.
All right.
What else?
Yeah.
Well, just Mike, you want to stick around? We're just going to take it to some news and some releases this week, and then
Yeah, absolutely, sure.
But
All right.
thanks so much for your
Dude,
insight on that.
thanks for coming on and talking about that. We definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries, guys.
So I was going to talk about The Last of Us, but we'll skip that. We'll save that for maybe. Well, actually, E3 is next week. Our show is next week for E3.
Yeah.
Are we going to do 2 shows? I think we're going to do Monday and Tuesday, right?
Sure. Yeah, I guess so. Well, maybe we should just do Tuesday.
We're definitely have to do Monday
Why would we have to do Monday?
because Monday is Big 3.
Oh, so then we should just do Monday night. No, we should just do Tuesday and talk about the big 3, right? You want to do it day of and then release it Tuesday?
Huh.
All right, we'll figure it out. People don't need to hear about this.
Whatever.
What else
Okay.
we got on the list?
No, it's
Who
Inside
knows?
Baseball. They want to see how the sausage gets made, you know?
Okay, so Microsoft announced Halo Spartan Assault. This silly Windows 8 device, Halo top-down twin stick shooter.
That's appropriate. I will sanction that.
I will okay it for that.
Actually, and like not to put a damper on you getting into the news week, but yeah, news sucks this week. It's terrible. It's just bad.
There's a lot of it, but it's bad.
Yeah, there's just you can just keep that on repeat, Greg, because you're gonna be hitting that button a lot.
I didn't know Mike was going to leave. I thought he was just sticking
me neither.
around.
Mike just left on it. He waved goodbye to me. Maybe he misinterpreted.
Maybe
us.
he had to go to Dairy Barn.
No, that's
That's
Dave.
Dairy Queen.
Josh.
whatever, man.
That ship has sailed.
Whatever.
All right, let's get back on track here.
Well,
Mike just popped in, popped out. This is like a fucking
he was like,
free-for-all.
hold on, hang on a second,
Hang on, we're
guys.
stopping the podcast. I gotta look out the window.
Jeez.
This guy.
All right.
Definitely have him on again.
He didn't
though.
fix his mic until halfway through.
I know. We're gonna do some major editing on this one later, but all right, let's continue with
All
this
right. Anyway,
list.
with Halo Spartan Assault, it just looks silly.
Halo Squadron.
It's hard. It's hard for.
I didn't even press. I don't know. It just knew to do it.
Yeah, that was weird.
Now it's just tuned. Whenever it hears Halo Squadron, it's just going to do that on its own.
All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us on the Morning Zoo. I'm not sure if this is an attempt to get people to buy Windows 8 devices or what. I don't know what they're trying to do here.
This just sounds like Microsoft, especially after Halo 4, Microsoft has always been Halo happy. But after Halo 4 did so phenomenally great and Forward Unto Dawn made a ton of money, they realized they are going to choke this to death.
Right.
They are going to keep releasing Halo crap until we die.
Some people are speculating that it's like to reward people who are faithful to Windows and have the Windows 8 platform.
Great. Congratulations. You win, guys. You got Halo Squadron. You win.
Yeah, it looks okay if I had it on my phone or something, but it's not like I'm going to go out and buy a
For
Windows
free.
8 device. Anyway, Fable, they're redoing Fable 1 or Fable something else. What's it called, Josh? Do you know?
It's
Fable
Fable
Anniversary
It's
HD.
like HD.
Fable Anniversary, and it looked really, really good.
looks
It's coming
nice.
out for Xbox 360.
Yeah, that's cool.
Oh, Josh, you played a little bit of Remember Me. Can you give us any kind of impression on that?
And I'll just do it really quick. Just some quick first impressions, and we can get into it more next week. But it's cool. The knock on it thus far is that it gets super repetitive going in, like as you get further and further on. And I can see how that is. I'm already finding the combat to be a little bit button mashy, where it's just like, oh, dodge. Now just press these 2 buttons over and over and over. Now dodge. But I did get to do one of the memory sequences where you change someone's memory around, and that was actually really cool. And that, it's almost like you're solving a puzzle. There's certain things that you can change. You just got to figure out the correct order of them to change.
Apparently, there's only 4 of those in the game.
I heard that they were very few and far between as well, and that sucks. But when they do happen, they're good fun, and I'll have more cohesive and fully thought out opinions next week after I play it.
Right.
With a monocle and a cigar and a pipe.
If we even talk about it, because E3 is kind of, I don't know if you heard about it. It's E3. It's this like they video games. They do this thing.
Oh,
I don't know what E3 is. Okay. I've never seen an E3.
At E3, it's exercise, eat, and excellence. And
I guarantee that no one at that E3 conference exercises.
So yeah, remember me? The setting looked really cool, like cyberpunk type stuff, but I like that shit, so whatever. The Walking Dead, the Good Walking Dead, season 2 had a teaser out. They showed this thing, a name thing for this girl named Bonnie. I guess that might be our next Lee. Who knows?
And Vince, I keep saying this. There's a Vince too.
I didn't see a Vince. Maybe I just
there's a day 2 one, and then there's a day 220. There's 2 teasers out right now. Day 2, day 220. One is for Vince. One is Bonnie.
Cool. I'm looking forward to that.
That means.
I'm looking forward to that. I love that game. That was one of the best.
Get the Wolf Among Us out first. That's what I really want. I want the Wolf Among Us before I play more Walking Dead.
Oh yeah. Have you ever read Fables?
Yeah, I read the first 2 collections of them, and I'm looking to do some more. Do you guys know that show on ABC, Once Upon a Time?
I've seen like 2 episodes of it. I couldn't get into it.
I've been subjected.
A girl made me watch it, and I wasn't really feeling it.
Oh, yeah. I've been subjected to it a few times, and it is very much like that, but it doesn't suck.
Well, I'm excited to... I have to read Fables, and I'm really excited to read Fables because it seems awesome.
Yeah, it's cool.
So, what's the name of the game again? I'm sorry, I forgot.
The Wolf Among Us.
The Wolf Among Us. So it's based on this comic book called Fables, where it's a pretty dark, kind of noir comic with old fairy tales and like, you know, the 3 blind mice are in it and all that crap. So it looks good. Looking forward to that. And The Walking Dead. This week on Xbox Live Arcade, State of Decay is the release there, which it looks like a zombie strategy action game. I don't know. Got to look into it a little more. Maybe I'll pick it up tomorrow and let you guys know. Sorry to rush through this here.
Can you screenshot this, Josh?
That's what I'm trying to do.
You're not talking into the mic. Gunpoint out today for PC users. Looks really cool. I think that's really it. Josh, do you have any news?
No, I think you covered the big ones. Feminist Frequency, Anna Sarkeesian, who's doing the Sexism in Games, had the second part of her Sexism in Games video come out on YouTube. They're interesting to watch. I agree with most of what she says. I think it's hard not to. I feel like
Mike was here.
Yeah,
Mike is he's really big on sexism in video games. It's like his.
Yeah, he brought it up when we were talking about.
Yeah. It's something. If we have him on again, if it's something you guys want to talk about, he'd be the guy to talk to about it.
Yeah, I think that she needs. The videos lack a little bit of academia to them. Like, I think that it's really important for her to start telling us how she's drawing some of these conclusions. She brings up a lot of great examples, but she doesn't necessarily say this is how this negatively affects our society. Because there's definitely poor plots and a lot of male-centric stuff in video games, but I can't necessarily instinctively say that that's going to affect people negatively. I don't disagree that it can, but I think that if she could get some people on to say, hey, this is why this really sucks, aside from her just yammering on and on about it, I think it would behoove
like the woman that she is.
Get in the kitchen. Get in the kitchen. Vacuum the house.
Call of Duty.
Have a birthday cake.
We're just kidding. All right, guys. I think that's going to about do it here. We've been running pretty long.
Yeah, this was the longest.
Anything else we want to touch on, Greg? We got AwayCast t-shirts. Woo!
Yeah, but
they look pretty.
It's not like we can give them out to anyone.
Not yet, but we will.
Yeah, we're just bragging that we have. We're just going to wear it.
We have some. I'm going to wear it. Josh, I'm going to send you one. You're going to wear it.
I'll rep it.
Yeah.
And I guess
they look dope.
Guess that's it.
That about wraps it up, folks. Greg, thanks a lot for joining. Mike, I know you can't hear me. You're not around anymore, but thank you
very
for
much,
coming
Mike,
in.
for coming.
Josh, as always.
Keep it real, yo.
Keep it real.